First of all, I just wanted to thank you all for being interested in my story. I am not glad that it happened, but I'm glad that I'm doing better. I'm about 95% recovered. A couple of years later, I'm still having some issues with the knee. It's never going to be 100%, and I fully understand that, and I'm okay with that. Anyway, so right after I fell, I knew it was bad. It was just really painful. I knew that my knee was not bending back. At that time I had no idea how much it had moved, but I knew that it was, and felt that it was dislocated, and it was stuck in that position. So immediately the staff came, helped me out. I called my wife. They apparently called 911. Within, I want to say about 7 minutes, the ambulance arrived with the EMTs. Shortly after that, the fire department came as well. And they cut my jeans. You know, they realized that they couldn't do anything in the field. So they loaded me up on the stretcher and then moved me to the ambulance. Every single movement hurt. Anytime I was moved at all and my leg would shake, it was just extremely painful. At the minimum, I was probably a 5 on the pain scale if I wasn't moving. If it would move my leg, 8, 9. I've never felt pain like that before. Ambulance ride was not fun. I have no idea what they did. I don't remember. They probably gave me an oxygen mask. They did try to hold my knee, my lower leg, as tightly as possible and not let it move. They got me right into the ER, into a room really quickly. They told me that there was danger of some damage. I guess there's one artery that goes through the leg, and they were concerned that if it was pinched or if I wasn't getting blood flow, that I could possibly lose my leg. At some point, I did notice that my foot did go numb and I could feel nothing. So obviously that was a concern to me. They did do an x-ray, they did a CTA scan. Once they determined that maybe I didn't need surgery immediately, they did get 2 doctors, and they gave me propofol, put me to sleep. Apparently, I guess I wasn't asleep. My wife was in the room, and they gave me the propofol, and then they basically, according to her, they started doing a tug of war on my leg. And she says it took several minutes to get it in place. So my wife said that I kept saying, "That feels weird." Obviously I was, deep in the propofol. I didn't feel anything. Apparently during that process, I also started to have trouble breathing. So they gave me some oxygen. Apparently that made it better quickly. So once they did get my knee reduced, the pain was immediately much better. Maybe down to a 3, I would say, for the most part. It just was like instant relief, which I was thankful for, because this was an hour maybe after the accident of just constant pain. Anyway, they did end up keeping me in the hospital for basically 24 hours. They kept me overnight. They wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to have problems with my foot, I guess. The next day, they basically had a physical therapist come, and I had to basically prove that I was able to get up and down the stairs. So they took me into the stairs of the hospital and kind of showed me how to scoot up the stairs on my butt. And I had to prove that I could do that before I could leave. Thankfully, I was able to prove that I could do that. So I got to leave the hospital and go home. They did schedule surgery for, I think it was basically 2 weeks. 2 weeks after the accident, I was scheduled for surgery. So I had 2 weeks to just hang out at home. I started to swell really bad. Because of my swelling leg, I have putty skin. This is going to demonstrate.
Look, it's a smiley face. I can't really see the smile.
I also just had some major bruising. I'm going to show some of that as well. And so it did feel much better at home. Lots of bruising. It started getting worse. I don't really feel like at that point my heart rate was that bad. I think after the surgery is when I had the heart rate issues, because I really don't remember them being an issue before the surgery. But in those 2 weeks, it actually started to get better, to the point where near the surgery, I felt like I was able to put a little bit more weight on the leg. They basically told me nothing more than a toe touch. Actually, I think the swelling started to go down just a tiny bit, and the bruising definitely got better before the surgery. Then I went in for surgery on, I think it was April 12th, 2023. The story of the surgery and the after the surgery will be coming up in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment. I would appreciate if you would subscribe and pass my story on.